Hey, how goes it? So today I'll be talking about Samhain, which is a pagan slash Wiccan holiday. It takes place on October 31st, into November 1st. And some people celebrate it for 3 days, some people celebrate it for one. My family only celebrates it for one, so that's kind of just what I'll be talking about. So the history of Samhain in itself is Samhain is the celebration slash holiday for, in a sense, death and rebirth. So we believe that on October 31st, the two realms of the living and the dead become the thinnest, and the dead are able to walk amongst us. Not only that, but we also believe it is kind of like a new year for the pagans and witches. So we, in a sense, it's like the old year, the past year is gone, died, yoinked, and then the new year's rebirthed. It's a thing. So that's kind of what we believe in. And when it first became a thing a really long time ago, there's not really, I don't know the actual start of it because that was before the calendar, way long time ago. So what they used to do back in the day was they would make jack-o'-lanterns out of turnips, and they would make a huge feast out of all of the things that they were able to harvest from the recent fall harvest. So like gourds and vegetables. I don't know all of them because it's 2021 and I get to go to the grocery store, so I'm spoiled. But things like that, and they would carve turnips into jack-o'-lanterns to ward off evil spirits, and they would have big fires to attract their loved ones back home, and all of that beautiful things. And then they would have little rituals where they would leave part of their feast out on their front doorsteps or out all night. That way when their loved ones got home, they weren't famished, and all of that gorgeous, beautiful stuff. So I have a little bit of what my family says as a ritual, and before I talk about that, I'm going to talk about like some of the things that I start off with in the day, which I always like to start off with a little bit of tarot reading. I'll usually do it in like the morning or really anytime because I don't have a schedule. So I'm not going to do an actual tarot reading because I don't want this video to be too long, and I feel like it's already getting a little too long. So we're just going to start with a couple of cards. So we have the Devil. All of these cards are up for interpretation. They're not exactly what they look like, so it's going to be different for everything. And we have the Sun. We have the Two of Wands. All of that stuff. I mean, these cards, they're beautiful. I love them. Tarot cards are really easy to come by if anybody's interested, but I'm not here to sell tarot cards. I'm here to do an assignment. So, the next thing that we do is the actual ritual that my parents say. I don't quite remember the ritual just because my parents still hold it. Once they pass, I will be the one to hold Samhain, but until then, they do it. So I'm just gonna read it off really quick and then we'll go from there. So I'm gonna say it really fast because we're gonna break it down later. So tonight, as the barriers between the two realms grow thin, spirits walk amongst us once again. They be family, friends, foes, and pets, wildlife, fish, and crows. This feast I shall leave on my doorstep all night. In the window one candle shall burn bright to help my loved ones as they travel this eve and this night until dawn. Bless my offerings, both Lady and Lord, of breads and fruits, greens and gourds. Dark Mother, your cauldron is a well of death and rebirth. Dark Father, your sword both protects and annihilates. Hear me now as the pasture slowly dies, only to be reborn again. May the good come to pass and the bad be cast aside. With your divine guidance and protection, I step into the new year. In life is death, and in death is life. Tonight we are joined again. So, what all of that's saying is kind of talking, the very beginning is talking about exactly what I talked about again, but it gives a little more detail on what will walk amongst us once again. Anything that can die, pretty much. Family, friends, foes, enemies. That's what foes mean. Pets, wildlife, fish, and crows. So anything that dies practically is what's going to be walking amongst us again in death and or in life. Pagans and Wiccans believe in reincarnation for the most part. Everybody has their own beliefs, so I'm not gonna blanket statement that, but my family believes in reincarnation. Then it talks about a feast. Like I said a little earlier, if I'm correct, I did. The right before the Samhain celebration, they have the fall harvest. So anything that they are able to harvest in the Samhain and the fall harvest, we will make in the Samhain feast, as well as the window and the candle. Window and the candle. The candle in the window is similar to the fire that I talked about earlier. That is a little more modernized to help bring the family back home. The blessings from our Lord and our Lady. The Lord and the Lady are kind of our dark mother and father, like it says the next sentence. The dark mother is representation of death and rebirth, and the dark father is representation of protection. The more I say stuff like this, the more it feels right out of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but that's cool. And then it goes on to kind of talk about the new year, which I already talked about as well. And that's pretty much it. For the actual celebrations after our feast, we all kind of go our merry little ways and do our own little things. My parents are lone witches, so they celebrate and they do their own rituals by themselves, and I do it by myself because I want to. So, I first sage my home. This is just regular white sage. I haven't really burned it yet. As you can tell, this string just binds the sage. Then I have the calling of the corners, and I use different colored candles to represent different elements. We have white for wind, we have red for fire, green for earth, and we have blue for water. And then it's really where we talk to our gods and our goddesses, whoever we choose to praise, and we ask for an abundant, full new year. Kind of just like New Year's resolutions, but instead of writing it down on a piece of paper and putting it in a mason jar, we ask our gods and goddesses. And then after that, it's all dependent on what I want to do. Sometimes I will go on a nature walk, a night hike, things like that, where I just really appreciate our beautiful Mother Earth. And then I will set out offerings for my loved ones, and I keep my fireplace on all night because it's less of a fire hazard than a full-on candle. But that's pretty much all that I do for Samhain, and that's pretty much what Samhain is to me. So I hope it kind of helps, because a lot of people really villainize the pagan religion, and I hope that this shows that it's really not that, vicious, other than I already said that it kind of sounds like right out of Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but that's the point. So thank you guys again. Have a good rest of your day. Night.